Let me start this week's episode with a couple of quotes. The first is by Bertrand Russell. In all my affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted. And the second's by David White. The marvelous thing about a good question is that it shapes our identity as much by the asking as it does by the answering. So, every so often it's a good thing to stop, take some time, re-examine your life. This week I have a few questions to help you start that process. Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. And welcome back for this week's thought-provoking episode of the Thrive Singles Podcast. It is so good to have you with me here today. This week I have a few questions for you. Who, what, when, where, why, and how? These are the basic questions of life. A large part of thriving as a single person is personal growth. A large part of personal growth is answering these questions. Let's start with the most basic question. Down deep, at your core, who are you? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about God? What's important to you? And how did you become the person you are? Did you purposely become who you are through conscious decisions, or did you kind of drift into this version of you, carried along by the currents of circumstance and other people's expectations? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are you good at? Are there things you need to work on? You might want to get input about that from people you trust who know you well. You probably have blind spots. How about this? Is who you are who you want to be? If you're not happy with who you are, can you change? Who do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to become? What changes do you need to make to become that person? Will you need to exercise more, eat better, get rid of some people in your life who are dragging you down, build some new relationships with more positive people, get some coaching or counseling, create a budget, a life plan, educate yourself about finances, relationships, health? What's important to you? What do you want out of life? Where are your priorities? Do you want to please God, make more money, be in better health, be more attractive, have better relationships? What kind of relationships? Is marriage what you want, or do you want to stay single? Because marriage isn't the type of thing you should be talked into or pressured into or kind of slide into accidentally. So if you want to stay single, why do you want to stay single? That's an important question. Is it because you're happily single and don't want to complicate your life with an intimate relationship? Or is it because you're scared to make a lifetime commitment or scared of having a marriage end in divorce? Being happy as a single, that's a great reason to stay single. Fear is a terrible reason to do or not do anything. So what's driving your decision to stay single? A zest for the single life or some sort of fear? On the other hand, if you want to get married, why do you want to get married? Is it a desire for intimacy? For sex? A desire to know and be known deeply? To have and raise children in a secure, loving, nurturing family unit? Or do you want to get married out of some sort of fear? A fear of being alone? A fear of not being able to take care of yourself? A fear of financial need? If you want to get married for the right reasons, great. If it's because of some sort of fear, like I said earlier, fear is a terrible reason to do or not do something. It'd be better to face your fear, learn to embrace your aloneness, and learn to stand on your own first. Then you could approach marriage from a position of strength. Strength breeds confidence, and that's attractive. Otherwise, you come off as desperate, which is a huge turnoff. If you do want to get married, and you want to do so for the right reasons, who do you want to share the rest of your life with? What kind of person do you want to marry? I suggest you make a couple lists. A list of things you want in a spouse, and a list of things you can never put up with. And these lists should be long enough to represent all the things that are really important to you, but short enough that it could actually, describe a real person. Your list should also be light on things like height and eye color and hair, and long on things that make relationships last. Things like honesty, faithfulness, and other character traits. Those things mean a lot more to marital longevity than waist size or annual salary. And they're less likely to change over time through the remaining years of a person's life. And if you want to stay single, this applies to you too. Who do you want to spend time with? What kind of people do you want to hang around? The people you hang around with have a huge impact on who you'll become and what kind of life you'll live. Okay, are you still single, but getting older? Or like me, have you gone through a divorce in later life? You feel like you need to hurry up and find somebody before you get any older? When do you want to get married? The next few years? This year? Last year? Why are you in a rush? You can find love at any age, trust me. Rushing almost always leads to mistakes. In fact, I know a few people personally who, after years of happy marriage, became a widow or a widower. Then they rushed into a new marriage, and they ended up divorced. Don't let that happen to you. Take your time, be happily single first, go on lots of dates, then get married. Don't rush the process. On the other hand, some of you have no plans and no sense of urgency at all. Now, to you, I'd suggest that you ask yourself when you want to get married. Then start the process of putting yourself into a position where that's possible. So how do you start that process? You start by learning to thrive as a single person. That leads to one of the most important questions. How do you thrive as a single person? And I've spoken and written a lot about that. I mean, that's the main focus at Thrive Singles Blog and Thrive Singles Podcast. There's no way I can cover all that in this episode. In fact, I plan on writing a book about that in the near future. But in the meantime, here are a few main elements to consider. First thing to do is to grow as a person. Get over your ex, deal with your issues, overcome your fears, deepen your spiritual life, find mentors to help you grow, get some counseling if you get stuck. Read lots of books. Live your life like it matters. Don't sit around waiting until you find somebody to start living. Create a good life first, right now. Be sure to go back and read all my blog posts or listen to my podcast episodes about personal growth. Next thing to do is learn to be the most attractive you can be. Things like dress well, practice good grooming, live a healthier life, learn to be more articulate, develop your sense of humor, live out your beliefs, be kind, compliment and encourage the people around you. Be attractive inside and out. And there too, go back, read, or listen to all my stuff about being more attractive. Next, learn how to have better relationships. Great relationships don't just happen. If you want a marriage that'll last a lifetime, it's going to take work. And a lot of that work needs to happen right now while you're single. There too, go back, listen, read all my stuff about marriage. The other thing to do to start thriving as a single person is to date better. Stop dating the way you've always dated. All that led to was heartbreak and dysfunctional or dead-end relationships. There's a better way to date. And that too, I've written and spoken a lot about that. Go back and look up all my thoughts on dating. So, till next time, don't take anything for granted. Ask yourself some hard questions like who, what, when, where, why, how. Because our tendency is to kind of coast through life, we need to stop every now and then and think about these things. If you want to thrive right now as a single person, go Go back and spend some time thinking about these questions I brought up this week. And listen to my past episodes, especially the ones I list in the episode notes. You can find all my blog posts and podcast episodes at thrivesingles.com. In fact, there you can look them up by subject. So go check that out. And while you're there, be sure you subscribe and pick up your free ebook. And as always, till next time, thrive on. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on. Whoa, thrive. Yeah, come alive. There's more to life. You gotta grow. You gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta thrive. There's more to life than to just survive. You gotta grow, you gotta